Hey everybody! Today I'm making one of our family's favorite things, and that is old-fashioned chocolate frosting. You know, the yellow cake with the chocolate frosting that you grew up with. This is it. This is an old family recipe, and we absolutely love it. And thank you, baby. Jimmy, just press that button for me. That's always a good thing. Let me get my knife out while I'm thinking about that. Now, this is a really easy recipe. There's just a few ingredients in this, and y'all, it is out of this world good. Now, this is more like a fudgy frosting. This isn't that light, fluffy, airy frosting. This is kind of a dense, rich chocolate frosting, and it's absolutely delicious. Hey, Amanda and Janice, Lori, Stroud. Hey, girl, and Sharon. It's so good to have y'all with me today. Let me just stick this right here, and I'm going to come back to this in a minute. Keep hitting that like button, comment. I appreciate that so much. Hey, Susan. That really wakes up Facebook. And I tell you what, I've got my hot plate here. I don't want to mess anything up. But like I said, this is a super simple recipe. I'm starting with a cup of granulated sugar, and that is going into a saucepan. Now, you want to use a heavy bottom saucepan for this. And I will say that over the years, trial and error, I've found that the larger the saucepan, the better this frosting comes together. And a Dutch oven is perfect. So a cup of granulated sugar, then I'm adding a half of a cup of evaporated milk, pet milk. You can use whole milk if you'd like. I'm not sure why my grandmama always liked to use pet milk, but she did. So pet milk it is. And I'm going to go ahead and put this on my burner. And I've got it on a medium-high heat. This is a cooked frosting. And y'all, there is nothing better. Anytime that I have this cake, it reminds me of two things. My grandmama, although she did, well, I'll tell you that in a minute, and my husband. And I'll finish that story in a minute. It's actually kind of interesting, I think. And one of the things that made me fall in love with him. Now, I've got some of this baker's chocolate. This is unsweetened, and it comes in these little squares. Now, 1 ounce of chocolate goes into this, which is 4 squares. I was going to double the recipe, so I've got a little bit more than I need here. There you go, that baker's chocolate. And then I've got 1/3 of a cup of butter, just 1/3. And you can see on your little butter wrapper where to cut that butter. It's not quite a whole stick, but just right underneath. Hey, Felicia. She says she's glad she's showing this because she loves her some chocolate frosting. So do I. Now, what I was going to say just a minute ago about my grandmother is that my grandmother used Crisco. She did not use butter, but my Aunt Nancy, which my grandmama that made this cake is on my mom's side, but my Aunt Nancy on my dad's side gave me the same recipe, but instead of using the, let me just put this up real quick. Instead of using Crisco, she used butter, and I will say that I like the butter so much better. And this is salted butter, so there's just that tiny bit of salt in this to bring out the rest of those flavors. You know, salt needs to be added to any type of recipe that has sugar in it. I know that's going to go sliding everywhere. Now, what I'm going to do is bring this to just a nice low boil. And I've got some that's already made over here. And I'm just going to play with this as we talk. Let me see how I can do this. Ooh, it's already starting to boil just a little bit. Hey, y'all, let's see here. Let me do my little doodah. You're not coming up. Let me go back. Ooh, see how it's starting to boil? Well, good grief. Now, I want to stir this, okay? You want to keep stirring this. Hey, Ann. Hey, Weta. You don't want to let this sit. Now, you don't have to stir it constantly, but you do need to keep stirring it. So I'm going to let this boil for about 3 to 5 minutes. And this is going to thicken up and make the most delicious, rich frosting. What we want to do is just make sure that all of the ingredients are melted, and then we want to boil that sugar a little bit and make sure that it is soft, you know, that it still doesn't have that crunchy, granulated taste. So there we go. Now I've got a yellow cake that's made. Normally I make an 8-inch cake, and y'all know that when I make my red velvets, they're nice and high. But today I used a 10-inch pan. I'm not going fancy. This isn't a fancy cake. This is just a delicious cake, all right? I mean, absolutely delicious. Hey, Mom. Mom says sweet memories, and truly it is. Her mom made this cake, and so it's something that will just always bring back sweet, sweet memories. Now, I've made a butter cake. This is the yellow. I like the Betty Crocker Super Moist butter recipe cake. Make this according to the package directions. You don't need to vary off. This is absolutely delicious. This is the one of the few cake mixes that I actually really like. I love a scratch made cake, but this butter cake is amazing. So I've made this according to the package directions. And you know what, y'all? I think that I have boiled this enough. So I'm going to go ahead and take it off the heat. Yeah. And just push this aside. We'll get this out of our way. There we go. Move on. I love my hot plate, y'all. Love, love, love it. Okay. Look at this. Isn't that gorgeous? Can you see that right there? Now, we're still going to add some vanilla to this, but we don't want to add it while it's still boiling and still super hot, because if you do, it'll cook your vanilla flavoring out. You know, vanilla is mostly alcohol, and if you boil it, you'll evaporate it. So you won't get that good, rich vanilla flavoring. So we want to wait and just add that in a few minutes. Now I have my cake, and I'm going to make 4 layers out of this. Now, I cooked this cake earlier, and I put it in the refrigerator. It's a whole lot easier to cut and fool with if it's just a little bit cool. Now, I used my little handy dandy cake pan liners. I love those. I'll tell you what, I'm going to put this up here because taller is the better. And I've got a wonderful knife. Y'all, I found out about this knife on Test Kitchen. It's PBS cooking show and Cook's Country. That, you know, those shows, I just love those shows. And they did a test on this knife and said that of all the knives that they tested for breads and cakes and things like that, this was the best. And I bought it, and I have never been disappointed. You know what? I better get my glasses. Now, this is not going to be exact, y'all. And these aren't even thick layers. These are pretty thin layers. Like I said, I normally like doing this with 8-inch cake pans because it's just so pretty. But I did not do that for this. Okay, let's go ahead and put this layer right on. I cut it really easy. I love that knife, y'all. Love, love, love that knife. Okay. Now this is going to take a little bit of time to thicken up, and we're going to go ahead and add this vanilla. This is a Vanilla King vanilla. A company reached out to me and sent me a box of the best vanilla that I've ever had in my life. They make vanilla paste, vanilla extract. They also sent me the beans, the vanilla beans. I need to post a link to this. If you're looking for some fantastic vanilla, I mean the real deal, this is from Madagascar, you need to order this. It's wonderful. I don't think I added the link. As a matter of fact, I know I didn't. So I'll go back in and add that. It's Vanilla Bean King, and they're on Facebook. You can find them. I'm not affiliated. You know, I have people that send me products all the time for me to test them, and if I like them, I'll introduce you to them. And I love them. Okay, this is good. Now, what you're going to do with this particular frosting is this needs to cool completely. And go about your business in the house. Do what you're going to do. And every time you walk past it, give it a good little stir. Just stir it. Now, you don't want, I have made the mistake. Hey, Karen. I have made the mistake in the past of thinking I could hurry this process up. And I have used a mixer on a slow speed. I'm telling you, don't do it. It changes the color and it changes the density. It starts whipping air into it. And there's just something so special about the cooked frosting and just the texture that it is. And so believe me, you don't want to change a thing. Just let it cool, stir it. It's going to take you maybe an hour and a half to get this to that really thick consistency. And you know me, I've got some right here. And look at what this does. Now, this is a double batch. I've made a double batch. You can use this as a ganache if you'd like. Pour it over brownies. You don't have to wait for it to cool. But this makes what are those Mississippi mud cakes? Oh my goodness, this is delicious. So there's all kinds of use for this outside of just frosting a cake with it. But this is a double recipe because we like a lot of frosting. And look at this. Yes. Now, like I said, it's not that real airy, whipped frosting. This is dense. Now, I'm going to take some of this and just put it, hey, Chris. And I've got, let's see, I think I'm going to use my bench scraper just because it's so easy. Ooh. Oh, I forgot to put frosting down on the bottom. Let me see if I can slip some under there. Come on, you. There we go. You know, I'm not worried about this cake being all just perfectly beautiful because we are going to eat this cake. I'm going to send some over to Mom and my Aunt Gail. This happens to be one of my Aunt Gail's favorite cakes. And so we're just going to enjoy it. So I want it to be pretty. Of course, I'm always interested in how it looks, but I'm not selling this cake at an auction. So it's okay if it's just not perfect. All right. I want to get this all the way out to these edges. And we're going to have 4 layers. So the frosting doesn't need to be super thick, okay? You want that nice layer, but it doesn't have to be really thick. You know, back in the olden days, they wouldn't even frost the outside of the cake. they would leave the outside bare. Okay, now I've got, you know, some of my Shoot Pecan Company pecans. I love Shoot Pecan. Another thing that I didn't do, I didn't tag them. I need to. Y'all, I get in such a big hurry. I'm trying to post every link I can think of because I know you're going to ask me, but I'm not always good at that. And these are just those little finely chopped pecans. And I sprinkle just a little bit on there. Of course, that's optional. And here goes my other layer. Oh, yeah. And I always put top side down because, or top side up, because it's easier to frost. If you try to frost the layer that you cut, you are going to tear this cake to pieces. So you don't want to do that. Let me get my backhanded spatula. There we go. And again, we're just going to do this. You know, I was telling you that this cake is special to me for another reason, and that's Jimmy. I'll tell you a real sweet story. The first conversation that I ever had with Jimmy, he had come over. You know, he has a lawn service. And my cousin Tammy told me when I moved here to Dothan, I'd moved from the Houston area here to Dothan. And I don't live too far from my cousin Tammy. I probably maybe 2 miles. And so she told me about Jimmy and his lawn service and how it was the best in town. And I needed to get him to come do my lawn. So he came over and he took a look at my yard, which is very small, and gave me an estimate. And I just took a liking to him. And we talked just a little bit, and I asked him, I said, are you married? I'll be honest with you, y'all. I just thought he was so, when I met him, I don't know, there was just a sparkle in his eye and those blue eyes, and he was just so sweet. I just really liked him. Didn't love him at the time, but of course I liked him. And I asked him, I said, are you married? I didn't see him wearing a ring, but you know, a lot of men don't wear rings because, especially in his line of business, because they can be dangerous. So you never know. Let me give this frosting a stir. But anyway, I picked up a conversation with him and just asked him, are you married? And he said, no, I'm divorced. I've been divorced a couple of years. And he had told me that he had been married for 32 years. And, you know, it's just sad. But anyway, I had been married for about 25. And I said, you know, it's hard at our age to be single again, isn't it? And he said, yeah, it really, really is. He said, I've done, you know, some things that I've never done in my life before. And one of them is baking a birthday cake for my children. His children are grown, but on their birthdays, you know, here they are grown. Christina has a family of her own, and Brad, you know, he's almost 40. So, but on their birthdays, he would make them a cake. And he said, I made a cake by myself the first time for my daughter. And I just thought that was the sweetest thing ever. You know, he could have went and bought a cake at Publix or wherever, but he wanted to make that cake for them himself. Go ahead and cut this. And so I just thought that was so sweet. And anyway, so that was pretty much it. We talked a little bit and we shared some of our story, not much, but some. And he went on his merry way. But of course, I would see him on occasion because his lawn service did my yard. Let me see about this. Oh, I'm not sure I cut this the most even. There we go. Like I said, y'all, I'm not worried about real pretty here. And it's a good thing because it's not. But anyway, later on, after we kind of got to know each other a little bit, it was his son was about to have a birthday. And we struck up a friendship, but I don't know that we were actually really dating yet. I'm trying to do the quote marks, but I don't have both my hands. So, but anyway, he asked me if I would help him make his son a birthday cake. And this is the cake that he made. I showed him how to do it. He cooked the frosting. He decorated it, and he had gotten, one of those tubes of frosting where you can put your name on it. Happy birthday, Brad, is what he put on there. And y'all, I do believe that it was that night that I fell in love with him. I just thought that is the sweetest thing. And we had the best time just putting this cake together. And that was one of the first times that we had ever really spent a few hours together. And it was at that time. I always knew that Jimmy was special. You have that intuitive voice that says this is somebody special, and I had that with Jimmy, but I knew that night that he was really special. So this cake has even more meaning. Okay, let me see how we're going to do this. Oh. Let me get off all these little doodahs, and let me find, because this is not even, y'all. Not even a little bit. This could be one of the ugliest cakes I've ever made, and I'm not even kidding. Let's see. But I'm going to tell you what, it's going to be a delicious cake. Now let's look at our frosting and see how this is coming along. Look at how that's thickening up. Doesn't that look good, y'all? Hey, Tammy Ingram. This is going good. Sometimes if I do want to hurry up the process, I'll take it out of this warm Dutch oven and I'll pour my frosting into a bowl. That's what I did here. And it'll help it along because obviously my pan is keeping the heat in. So that'll help it along just a little bit. You know what? I may have to leave my sides without frosting. Like I said, this was 2 batches. And I think I will. Because I don't think I'm going to have enough to cover the sides and cover it well. I guess the 3 batches would. But that's okay. There's lots of good frosting in here. So tell me, do you have a cake that just takes you back to your childhood? Something like this. There's just nothing like it. I think God made music and foods to take us back to certain places in our life. I can hear a song and it reminds me of a certain place or someone. And then foods are like that too. Let's see here. What should I do, y'all? I may be able to scrape enough out of here. I'm kind of not thinking much. Talk about a naked frosting. This is probably going to be just that. Let's see how we can do here. Oh, look at that. I might be able to have enough. It'll be a thin layer. But you know what? I think we can do it. I think so. Boy, this shirt's just falling all over the place. I love this shirt, though. It's one of my favorites. Let's see here. I think we can do it, y'all. So 2 gives you, you know, 2 batches, which I cooked at the same time. I just doubled my ingredients. We'll do this, and I will tell you that I think with the 8-inch pans, it would be even better. This is how my grandmama made it. She made it just like this with those little thin layers. And then this frosting. Ooh, yeah. Hey, it's going to be just right. I'm going to bring it back around. Look at that. There's a few crumbs in there. Now I'm going to take my spatula here. I love this thing. And I'm going to try to pretty it up just a little bit. And it'll make my frosting go further too. Yeah, this is good. And now here's how I do this. Now I know I've shown y'all a few times. You stir my frosting. Boy, it's getting thick. I'll be able to go back and add this if I want to this cake. Okay, now I'm taking my board scraper and I'm going to go around it. And I've got it on Lazy Susan. I posted a link to a cake decorating kit that has all of this in it. Your turntable, everything. I bought it for my cousin. If y'all remember last week, I had my cousin over for lunch. And I gave her the cake decorating kit for her birthday. And she loves it. She just said, made me promise that we would decorate a cake together. So I am all up for that. Look at that, y'all. It's perfect. If I wanted to pipe a little bit of frosting on the bottom, I could. I'm going to take this and just kind of work that down on the bottom. Look at that. And my grandmother always put pecans in her cake. Always, always, always. So, of course, it's optional, but we love pecans. Don't use walnuts. It's got to be pecans in this. I use walnuts in place of pecans sometimes for cookies, but not for this cake. The pecans just work really well with that chocolate versus the walnuts. The walnuts are a little bit too strong. And let's see here. What do you think, y'all? I mean, like I said, it's not the prettiest cake I've ever made, but it is gonna be delicious. Just go around here one more time, and y'all, I think that we're pretty much done. Speaking of my cousin Tammy, I promised her some of this cake. Her mama, my aunt, and my mom. Of course, Jimmy. Now I'm going to swirl it just a little bit to make it pretty. Those pretty little swirls, not too many, because like I said, this frosting isn't like that. This is a dense frosting, but still you want it pretty. What do you think? Voila. Get a paper towel. You grab a paper towel and just clean up this board. I should have taken the trouble to line it with some parchment paper. I say I don't care, you know, since it's just us. But you know what? Truth is, I really do care. I can't help it. It's just who I am. And look, I'm going to put a few more pecans on the top. Hey, Tricia from Georgia. Love you, lady. Appreciate you. Just want a little bit. Now, I could take some pecans and put on the sides, but that would take way too much time. Well, and my board's not big enough. I'll just make a big old mess. But if I were making this and serving it and really entertaining with it, I would put some just on the bottom. Okay, that looks good. Now, all right, I want to show you this, and I'm about to cut a piece of that. I went to lunch with my mom today, and so I am not eating supper tonight, but I am cooking supper for Jimmy. But I am going to have some cake. Look at this frosting. See this? Look how shiny and glossy this is. And it's really thickening up nice. Just be patient with it. All right, let me grab a plate. And let's cut into this, y'all. This is going to be so good. Now, normally, I cut my cakes like this, and then well, let me just do it. I'm going to show you. This is how I cut the cake, and half of that's going to my cousin Tammy and her mom. So that'll be her half. And then what I do, and of course, you know I'm going to take the middle. We cut it like this. And that way you have that nice, pretty piece. Y'all, it didn't turn out that bad, did it? See, this is just, to me, just like my grandmama used to make. Exactly like my grandmama used to make. They weren't real high. They weren't, you know, they were just cakes just like this. Now, you could double box a recipe if you wanted to and make a really tall cake, but I am going to keep it true to form. Uh-oh, I just tore it up. I'll fix that in a minute. I can't leave well enough alone, can I? Fidgeting with my shirt. Uh-oh, this is a magnet. Hang on, y'all. Let me grab another magnet so you can hear me. I'm getting used to these things. This little doodah. Hang on, I'm pulling. Oops. I'm so sorry. I'm a-learning, y'all. I'm a-learning. Okay, look at this. Let's go in for this bite. All I need is a cup of coffee. But it's too late for me to drink coffee. Y'all, this is perfection. I love this butter cake recipe. You have that buttery yellow cake with this rich, dense frosting. And because this is such a dense frosting and it is so rich, you don't need big, thick layers. Just like this, grandkids, I'm keeping them all next week. So I'll be making lots of sweet treats for them. But let me tell you what I'm doing tomorrow. I'm taking a trip to Huntsville tomorrow. And on my way to Huntsville, I'm meeting a book author. Her name is Kathy Vintson, and she has written the book, The Crown Effect. And y'all, I absolutely love her. She is just an amazing encourager. She's got quite the story. And so tomorrow afternoon, we're going to be meeting somewhere near Huntsville at a Starbucks. I'll have to look at my map. And we're going to go live. And I'm going to introduce you to her. I just love, love, love Kathy. And I know that you'll love her too. And so I can't wait to introduce you to her. And it's the Crown Effect. And she has a Facebook page. And she just popped up in my feed one day. And I started reading her encouraging posts. And she doesn't necessarily have a devotional, but she has something similar to that. And she is beautiful on the outside and beautiful on the inside. And this will be the first time that we've met. So I'm really excited to introduce you to her. And then on Friday, the whole purpose of me going to Huntsville is I'm going out to a cattle farm on Friday, and I am going to take you with me. It will be my first time to ever really go to a cattle farm that's true cattle producers. Now, my grandfather raised cattle. I've told y'all about that many, many times, but I was so young then I really didn't understand everything. So I'm going to take you with me to this beautiful cattle farm. Huntsville is right on the Tennessee border. And so it's a beautiful, beautiful area in the mountains, just, you know, the mountain range, the beginning of the mountains, the Smokies. So it's just beautiful. And so I'm really excited about going there. So we got a lot of great things planned. And I want to share every one of them with you. Hey, Terry, Kathy, Trisha, Tanya Bedore, I love you. I hope you are feeling better, my sweet friend. Well, I'm going to finish this frosting. Like I said, just every time I walk by it, I'm going to do just what I'm doing. Give it a nice little stir. And I'm about to start supper for Jimmy. He's having pork chops tonight. So if I don't get started, he won't eat at 6. So I better get started. I love y'all. You are a blessing to me. Will you pray for traveling mercies tomorrow as I'm on the road? It's about a 5-hour drive from where we are. One tip of Alabama, the most southern tip of Alabama, all the way to the most northern tip of Alabama. So I'll be crossing the state tomorrow. I would appreciate your prayers. You are a blessing to me. I love you. I love our time together. If you would do something for me, like this video, would you share it? Maybe somebody wants to, you know, reminisce a little bit with an old-fashioned, what we call chocolate cake. So I would appreciate that. All right, y'all. I'll see you next time. Bye.